Hello there. Today we're walking from Bardowie, which is just north of Glasgow, between Glasgow and Milngavie, and we're walking to Craigmaddie Muir. In many ways this walk feeds a lifelong passion that I've had for archaeology, in that we're going to have a look at a lot of stones on Craigmaddie Muir. You know, it can be very difficult telling the difference between natural stone or boulders and stones or rocks that have been moved or carved or shaped or generally footered with by man. Very difficult, especially when that footering took place thousands of years ago, and any number of things will have happened between times. There's clearly an awful lot has happened or taken place on Craigmaddie Muir thousands of years ago. There's any number of things up there, not all of which we'll see. I know that there's one rock feature that I'll definitely see, but I'm not sure whether that is man-made or natural. But even if it is natural, as I think we'll see, it definitely has been visited by man for a long time, and there is definitely a significance to that particular rock formation and to the area on a whole. Craigmaddie Muir is very boggy, and just right now the ground's actually very wet, so I know it's going to be seriously boggy up there, but there are rocky outcrops, and that's what we're going to be generally kind of having a bit of a look through. As I say, I don't know what we're going to find when we're up there, but we'll certainly find out. It's just a couple of miles, and I think it's important to perhaps bear in mind at this early stage that we're very likely to be entering the realm of a particular Celtic god when we get up onto the moor, and it's important that we remember that and take care and respect everything that's around us. If you've been watching some of my videos, you may start to recognise the bit we're on just now, because I covered this part in a previous video that looked at a walk between Milngavie and Clachan of Campsie. So right now we are following that same bit of track or road. And just to get back to the archaeology thing, I remember at school, a long time ago now, when there was some sort of career day where you went with your parents and you sat at a desk with your parents, and the person on the other side of the desk said something like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Or "What do you want to do with your life?" or something like that. And at the time I didn't want to be an astronaut. I didn't want to be a train driver. I wanted to be an archaeologist. And I'm not sure what happened, whether that idea was poo-pooed or whether it was instantly seen that I was not archaeologist material. But I never became an archaeologist. That said, I have throughout my life fed that interest with various activities like digging Victorian and Edwardian rubbish tips or old bottles and clay tobacco pipes, and metal detecting and stuff like that. Both activities that archaeologists would probably say, "That's not archaeology." But it's kept me happy. Oh, here's a nicey bit here. This is an indication of how cold it is this morning. This is ice. Anyway, there's a feature up here that I didn't point out the last time I was on this track. I'm not sure if I'm going to find it. It's not on Craigmaddie Muir, but it is something of a little bit of interest. So let's see if I can find that. Look, this is Blair's Cave Linn. I think the word Linn just generally means a waterfall. But as you can see, there's also caves there, and these were probably formed through the mining of limestone, and it can be very difficult to say exactly when that happened because limestone has been mined for hundreds of years. If you look at an old map of this area, you will see any number of limestone pits and mines and lime kilns. And limestone was processed in the lime kilns to make, I think it's called quicklime, or a lime mortar used for plaster and in building, possibly also in farming. A lot of coal was needed in that process in order to process the limestone, and that's why you will often see coal mines along with limestone mines. You know, if you've got all these things that you need close at hand, it makes life an awful lot easier. But there is passageways in these mines that go back, from what I understand, like over 100 feet, and I would advise anyone not to go in there because you don't know what holes in the floor there might be, and it will be very dangerous. I've already slipped just going down the muddy bank there. Thankfully didn't actually fall any distance, but you know, it's a kind of iffy place. It's nice to see it from a distance, but don't go in. Well, you may remember this spot here in the video that I did of a walk between Mulgai and Clachan of Campsie. And at this point I went through that gate to just have a look at the view. There's a trig point just over there. I didn't lock the gate because I was coming straight back out again, just in case anybody spotted that. And then I went that way because there's a path there. If you look at mid-19th century Ordnance Survey maps, as well as that track there, there's also a track going this way, leading to a steading called after the moor. The steading is called Craigmaddie Muir. by the late 19th century, this track is no longer shown, and the assumption is that either the track was no longer in use or the steading was starting to become abandoned and not occupied. So this is the way I'm going to go just now. It's heading in the direction of that old steading, nothing of which remains, and it's heading in the direction of both the moor and all the rocky outcrops that I want to have a look at today. I think this is one of the things I was hoping to see today. I think it's a chambered cairn, a place where the buried folk literally thousands of years ago. You know, I could be wrong, it's very difficult to spot. And I only spotted this because it's on a slight there's a slight bump there, and I thought I'll stand on that, see if I can get a better view of the surrounding area to see if I can see anything else. Then I thought, wait a minute, this is a bit of a bump. And it's got various kind of rocks around a very ill-defined edge. As I say, I could be totally wrong, but on ordinary survey maps, that's a clump of trees right there. There's a track just around the clump of trees. This is roughly where that chambered cairn should be, and I feel pretty confident that this is probably it. That said, I appreciate that there's not a great deal to actually look at, but it's just something to think about. A burial site used thousands of years ago, and it's an indication that up on this moor there was things happening long ago, whether it's people getting buried or perhaps Druidic ceremonies. I'm not sure if Druidic is the word. Ceremonies involving druids, Druidic, is that a word? And folk carving little cups or hollows on rocks and things, which I doubt we'll see. There's just too many rocks all around here and I can't possibly examine them all. But sometimes when you look at the internet and you do a search for Craigmaddie Muir, you can find sites that indicate there was a heck of a lot of stuff going on up here. There are even suggestions of some sort of stone circle, Neolithic huts. It's a very boggy place to have a hut, I'm not sure about that. But the whole area, even down below at Low and High Blochairn, there's old cairns down there, and in the past there's been burial urns and things located. So the whole area was at one time populated and used. Well, it would be hard to imagine a better seat than this. I'm almost tempted to think it's been carved out deliberately. It's a seat or a throne. What I think is the chamber cairn is just behind me. It's not that pile of stones you probably can't see anyway. That's recently been shifted. But it's not far behind me. The clump of trees is just there, and this is quite a large slab of rock outcrop that's fairly flattish, and I had a good look at it, and I wasn't sure. I thought I might find the odd kind of little hollow or something, but you will never guess what I've just found. When I say found, I dare say it's well recorded, but I just, in reading all the stuff on the internet, I either forgot about it or didn't see it. But there is a footprint carved in the rock, and I'll show you in a minute. But can you think of any other rock outcrop location in Scotland where there is a carved footprint that doesn't perhaps have royal significance as far as kings and what have you are concerned? And I'm thinking about Danad. I have to say, this has really sort of blown me away. I didn't expect to find something like this. As I said just there, that's not to say that it's not recorded. I perhaps just didn't see it on the internet or forgot or something. This is really very important. It really does show that there was a great deal happening up here in this moor. You know, not just people getting buried or various Druidic ceremonies. There was perhaps great leaders being crowned, for want of a better term. It's quite a small carved footprint or shoe print, but then they were much smaller in those days, apparently. I think the Picts were always referred to, or occasionally referred to, as the wee people, I think, unless I've got that wrong as well. But we'll have a look at some more rock, and we'll end at the main feature, as it were, although I am starting to think this is the main feature. This really is. But let's have a wander around. Just something else I spotted here. Actually, my shadow's obscuring it. I mean, as I say, this is a rocky outcrop, and you know, rocky outcrops were handy places to do a bit of quarrying for stone and building material. You know, the carved footprint is really just where the camera is just now. And what I noticed here is, I'll try and take a close-up of it so that you can perhaps see it better. But there are just lines here, just going all along here, little marks. And I'm in no doubt that these are quarry marks, formed by the men who would have used this rock outcrop to gather building material. The question is, when? I mean, in theory, this could have been used as a quarry and used for rocks throughout, you know, for the past couple of thousand years. Could have been used in Victorian times for rock. But given that the chamber cairn is just up there, and to build that, they would have needed rock. Okay, they could have used loose rock hanging about, but it's chamber cairn. I think they might have shaped some of that stone, and if there wasn't enough stone sitting about, they would have used this quarry and hacked lumps out of it in order to gather more stone. And it's just strange to think that these marks may have been made by Neolithic stonemasons or Bronze Age stonemasons, or men thousands of years ago. That's a difficult one to get your head around, I tell you. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the main event. The Auld wives' lifts. Well, this is the Auld wives' lifts, or lift, singular, plural. Sure, it'd take quite a few lifts to get that up there. You can't see it from that angle, but there's actually two massive boulders on top of which is this third one, and there's actually a hollow underneath it that you could sort of crawl through, you might say. And it's, you know, probably impossible to say whether this is a natural feature. Perhaps it was put up there during some kind of past ice age or something, or whether it's a man-made feature. And it wouldn't be out with the bounds of possibility for this massive bit of stone to have been placed on top of these others. You know, if you had a lot of guys and you were able to shift mounds of earth and somehow get it up there, but as I say, it's impossible to say for certain. What is possible to say is that there is absolutely no doubt that this arrangement of boulders has played a very important role in the past, and it has been seen by a lot of people throughout the centuries for thousands of years as something that you would want to visit and hang around and do stuff with. There are umpteen carvings on the rock. You know, you can see dates, there's Victorian carvings and what have you. But what there also is some carved heads. Some of them aren't too clear, they're kind of worn over the centuries and maybe not as visible as they might once have been. But it's supposed to be about a dozen heads or so. One of those heads, and I know I'll not be able to find it because it was very faint in the last time it was noted. One of them is thought to look as if he's got maybe a horn on his head with perhaps a very faint sign of another horn. And this has led people to believe that perhaps that is related to the Celtic god Cernunnos. He was the god of forests and animals and fertility and a whole load of things. And you know, when you read all the stuff about this arrangement of boulders, and the word druids comes up quite a lot, and it has been suggested that perhaps this was used in some kind of druidic ceremony that may have been related to the Celtic god Cernunnos. Very difficult to know for certain. What I'll try to do is I'll just go round the stone and I'll take stills of various so many of the carvings and the heads that I can see, but I don't want to hang about here because it's seriously, it's not just boggy, it's kind of swampy. In fact, I'm absolutely soaked. In fact, how this arrangement of boulders didn't sink into the ground, I'm not entirely sure. Having said it, this little bit here's a little bit drier, but all around it's absolutely soaking wet. And there's a deep bit there, you know, which it's very hard to go over. So as I say, I'll try to show you the some of these carvings. Well, this is where I'm going to end the video. One thing that I neglected to say was that the word Craigmaddie is thought to mean the rock of God. And there's no doubt that that rock is this one here. And as I touched on earlier, there is no doubt that many things have taken place up in this bleak, sodden moor in the past, over the past couple of thousand years. And there is no doubt that some great significance has been attached to this arrangement of boulders, whether for people in the last few centuries or for the Celts themselves. And you know, it's a strange thing, I mentioned Cernunnos, the antlered, Celtic antlered god. And you know, I can't remember where it was, but I remember reading some kind of archaeological report of a dig somewhere. It's a prehistoric or Neolithic dig. I can't remember if it was in England or somewhere in Europe, where amongst all the kind of things they found the the top bit of a deer's skull where the antlers would have been. And in that bit of bone there was 2 holes that had been deliberately placed in the skull. They weren't natural. And the supposition was that the holes would have been used for fastening, so that this top of the deer's skull, perhaps with the antlers still attached, would have been worn by someone and used in some ceremony. And that instantly makes you think of the Celtic god Cernunnos. You know, was there Druidic ceremonies took place right at this very spot involving that Celtic god? At the end of the day, you know, myth is nothing but the collective memory of events that took place so long ago that we just can't quite remember all the details. But if you check the internet for Cernunnos, you'll find any number of images and websites to do with that god. And at the end of the day, we never really forget. I'm Eddie Burns. I'll see you again.